Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Kernels of Truth, brought to you by Progress Kentucky. We are so excited that you have joined us. We've got a great show for you this week. We are going to be doing some political news breakdown, big news today. Then we're going to introduce you to Jamie Skudlarek, the Democratic candidate in Senate District 5, taking on Steve Meredith. We're going to look forward to hearing about her campaign and what prompted her to jump in the game. Then we're going to discuss the Kentucky General Assembly's complete unwillingness to adopt red flag laws in Frankfort, despite clear warnings in the I-75 shootings, with Kentucky moms demand action. State lead Cathy Hobart. Always glad to hear Cathy's perspective on Kentucky gun law issues. Finally, we're going to close out with an invitation to join us tomorrow. It's tomorrow when we record this. If you're listening to the podcast, who knows when the event is, but it's Thursday with a campaign kickoff event just outside of Lexington, and you are getting a engraved invitation to do something between now and November. So that's the show. I'm pretty thrilled about it. But before we get into that, I really hope you're ready to turn Kentucky purple. We hope that you agree with us that Kentucky deserves better than Mitch McConnell, Jamie Comer, Big Banks, Andy Barr, and the GOP supermajorities in the General Assembly, which block our governor from doing smart things like, maybe a red flag law. Despite the challenges facing Kentucky, we do, for moments, every once in a while, we have moments of, useful electoral outcomes, we'll say, right? So if you remember a few cycles ago, we rejected Amendment 2, Classic Amendment 2, to keep abortion protections in our state constitution for all the good that did us. We reelected Andy, so we can get things done in this state, but it's clear there's a lot of work to do to win better outcomes for our Commonwealth politically. So unless you, of course, want your tax dollars siphoned away from public schools and sent to unaccountable private religious schools, or just kicked back to rich folks who don't pay income tax. But between now and this November, which is 48 days from now, November 5th, 48 days from now, we're going to be working for better electoral outcomes in Kentucky. We hope you'll support Progress Kentucky in our campaign for a more compassionate Commonwealth. Make a contribution right now on our secure online website. Folks, you just got to act blue to turn Kentucky purple. $5, $50, $500. It all adds up, right? Wouldn't you want to be one of those swing states where a steady deluge of campaign ads are on every screen you look at between now and November 5th? Actually, I don't know. Maybe I'm talking myself out of this. No, I think we do want to make ourselves a purple state where our election is a little more in question. The outcomes are a little more in question, where Democrats are fighting shot to do better things for our Commonwealth. So that's the vision. We've got a secure ActBlue website, which I think is being shared right now, so you can click on it in the comments or somewhere. At any rate, but yeah, that's it. So let's go check in with our co-hosts, right? So we're gonna let us know who you are, where you are, and what are you protesting today. And if you are watching on the internet, you can put that in the chat. We want to hear what you're protesting today. And I'm Aaron. I'm coming to you from Childsburg, which it's in Lexington, but it's almost not in Lexington. You just keep driving until right before you hit the growth boundary, and there we are. Just a sea of ball homes and vinyl siding. It's called Childsburg. All right, so my protest sign says, Kentucky, your vote is your voice. Let's get to yelling. All right, that's me. Kimberly, are you there?
I sure am. I am right here, Aaron, and so glad to be here this evening. I'm coming to you live from Jefferson County, Louisville. And my protest sign says today, hashtag get involved. Your life depends on it.
Nice.
And it's true. Our lives really depend on these elections coming up. You want to see prices go down. You want everything to be fair. You need to make a decision and vote.
Yeah, I'm sure folks have probably seen the very hard-hitting ad or story about the woman in Georgia who, died because she was not able to get abortion care because doctors are afraid to do what they know they have to do because they don't want to get prosecuted because of politicians, getting in the middle of healthcare decisions, right? So, yeah, your life actually is at stake. So, for sure. Speaking of that issue, Did anyone see our girl? Did you see our girl Hadley?
Where?
Hadley Duvall is out with an ad, Kamala Harris's campaign, where it's very reminiscent of the ad she did with Andy Bashir, kind of looking in the camera, telling her story in a very powerful way, and then laying it all very clearly on the feet of Donald, at the feet of Donald Trump, right? It is, I've said this before, I think besides Andy, there's no single individual that is more responsible for the fact that we do not have, Governor Dan Cameron right now, and because of that way that ad so forcefully put abortion on the ballot last November, I think she's got the orange guy in her sights now. She took down Dan Cameron. I think she very well could be helping take down Donald Trump. It's a powerful ad. So if you haven't seen it, you should see it. If you have seen it, you should share it. If you haven't shared it, you should just do it. It's really powerful. I'm gonna put it in the chat right now. I'm not gonna challenge our producer Parker to put it on the air right now because I think I couldn't do it. Well, I would expect him to do it, but it's in the chat. You should watch it at your convenience. Really powerful ad for sure. All right, should we get into the news, Kimberly Cecil Jones?
I believe so. I was getting some updates from someone in Frankfort to see if there was any new avenues or anything going on. So, what I will say is that we have a story that is absolutely wonderful for today. And I think it's going to make a lot of us happy. If you did not know, our governor, Andy Bashir, today, he signed an executive order banning conversion therapy on minors in Kentucky. So our governor takes the important step to protect Kentucky youth and fight discrimination. So the thing about it is, Kentucky cannot possibly reach its full potential unless it is free from discrimination by or against any citizen, unless all of our people feel welcomed in our spaces, free from unjust barriers, and supported to be themselves, says our governor, Andy Bashir. Conversion therapy has no basis in medicine or science, and it can cause significant long term harm to our kids, including increased rates of suicide and depression. This is about protecting our youth from an inhumane practice that hurts them. So, the executive order today, signed by Governor Bashir, makes it illegal to use state or federal funds to provide conversion therapy on minors. It also gives licensing boards the authority to take disciplinary action against the licensees that have found to practice conversion therapy on minors. So, the practice of conversion therapy, and some people call it reparative therapy, is particularly harmful to the LGBTQ plus youth. The intent of this practice, unfortunately, and is to change an individual's sexual orientation or gender identity, and methods include aversion therapy, talk therapy, shaming, and hypnosis, among other techniques. Conversion therapy rests on the premise that an LGBTQ plus individual's identity is pathological and can be repaired or fixed. This false premise has no basis in medicine or science, once again. So, actually, when it comes to our governor, Andy Bashir, we truly applaud him for his bold and necessary action to protect Kentucky's LGBTQ youth from the harmful practice of conversion therapy. And the executive director, Chris Hartman of the KDP, Kentucky Democratic Party.
Chris
Excuse me.
Hartman.
Excuse
What?
me. Yeah,
What?
yeah. You know, I was dreaming. I was dreaming. Chris Hartman, our very, very dear friend, who's the executive director of the Fairness Campaign, he said today that Governor Bashir sends a crystal clear message to all of Kentucky's LGBTQ plus kids and their families. You are perfect just as you are. And also, the Kentucky Mental Health Coalition applauds our governor for issuing this executive order against conversion therapy. It is strong action that affirms our youth and protects them from this harm. And so, actually, this discredited uh, thing that they do of conversion therapy causes a lot of trauma with our kids as well as adults. But our governor is the first sitting governor in Kentucky's history to participate in the statewide fairness rally. In 2021, he proclaimed June as Pride Month for the first time in the Commonwealth. Last year, our great governor, Andy Beshear, vetoed a bill that banned access to gender affirming health care and restricted bathroom access. The supermajorities in both of the Kentucky's legislative chambers voted to override the veto. So I'm just wondering, Aaron, where do we go from here with our lawmakers in Frankfort? Because they're going to try to do something.
Well, I mean, I think they will likely try to overturn the executive order. I'm sure they will be able to, because that's the way this legislative, these legislative bodies roll, is that whatever the governor wants to do, they stop him. So they're not in session right now, so it'll last for a minute. We'll see what happens. There was an effort for many years to try to ban it through legislature, right? The legislature, and that just never went anywhere. So we'll see what happens. I hope it sticks. I hope it lasts. I hope the legislature just returns their focus to other ways of being horrible and lets this stand. But yeah, good to see him do it for sure. Like whatever he can do, like this time to kind of just not expect much out of the legislature and do what you can on your own for sure. So I'm glad he did it. All right, we're gonna move into a second story really quickly. It's just a big one that I thought was important. So yeah, today, big news. He signed the executive order. Yesterday, he made some news too. Not as big news. He was down in Madison County and cut the ribbon at the first high-speed EV charger, the NEVI program, which is funded through the bipartisan infrastructure law, that federal legislation that honestly we can thank Mitch McConnell for making happen, along with, of course, President Joe Biden and the Senate Democrats and the House Democrats. But I will give the man his credit. That bipartisan infrastructure law would not have happened but for Mitch McConnell's support. So it's funding a nationwide network of high-speed chargers, which is really good news because Kentucky is kicking ass in clean energy jobs, right? So we are second in terms of growth in the nation in clean energy jobs. This is second only to Texas. So this is the second year in a row. It's a 6.5% increase in clean energy jobs, and it's a ton of jobs, right? So it's about 30, very close to 40,000 clean energy jobs. But if you look at our overall number, we're still kind of like pretty low. Big growth because we had very, very, very few, right? So we're still ahead of West Virginia, who has like 10,000 something clean energy jobs. But we're behind in terms of clean energy production, so it kind of makes sense. The vast majority of these jobs are in the EV battery manufacturing space, right? Because we've got basically 3 huge battery manufacturing plants. So it's big news. These are significant jobs. If you look at EV jobs across the country, about 200,000 plus jobs are related to the EV manufacturing supply chain, from minerals processing to final assembly of the vehicles. So big day for EVs for sure. And we're glad to see that, Kentucky is really cashing in on some very significant economic growth thanks to that. All right. So how about you, Kimberly? You ever driven an EV? You want to try an EV?
Yes, I plan on buying me one probably next year.
Nice.
Mhm.
How's your car?
Which one?
Well, the one I saw was the BMW.
Oh, I got me a spring summer car, and it's so cute. It's a 2005 silver PT Cruiser, and you
Oh,
probably have never seen a PT Cruiser, a two-door. PT
Huh.
Cruiser.
The sporty
Oh yeah.
PT Cruiser.
Oh
All
yeah.
right.
And guess what? Guess
What?
what? The
What?
top is black and it's a convertible.
Convertible PT Cruiser. Oh my gosh, that's not a
Two
BMW,
door.
but it is
Two
like
door.
2 door. It's a sporty convertible PT Cruiser.
And it's a turbo.
And a turbo. This is
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah. So why would you? An EV would be a downgrade for you for sure at this point.
No.
Um,
No.
all right, so let's move on. We got to do our candidate corner. This is something we have pledged to you as the viewer / listener. We are going to bring you a candidate each and every episode between now and November 5th, because there's a lot of fantastic candidates out there running for office. And I'll tell you what, that is a thankless task. And it is, a thing you enter into with an uncertain outcome, and you put a lot of time and energy into it. And sometimes people, who have the resources and the time and the energy to make a difference don't really pay attention to all of them. So we think it's really important that we elevate these campaigns and candidates wherever we can. So very thrilled to bring on our friend Jamie Skudlarek, who might tell me how to say her name better. But we're so glad that you're here, taking a minute from the campaign trail to tell us about you and what you've done and why you're doing this. But yeah, welcome. How are you this fine evening?
Hi guys, thank you so much for having me. Doing good. Already been out, canvassing today, and then over here in Grayson County, which is part of my district, we passed out some Harris signs, and I was able to pass out a few of my signs that luckily some people stopped by. So, just staying active in the campaign.
That's awesome. So yeah, knocking doors, getting out signs. Sounds like you're doing the stuff you're supposed to do. What so what district? This is the 5th Senate district, is that right?
Yes, 5th Senate District. It includes Butler County, Ohio, Grayson, Breckinridge, and Meade.
Nice. Look at, there it is. We got a bit of a map for our viewers, if you're not familiar, and maybe we can even orient it on a map of Kentucky as well. But yeah, so that's awesome, and it's currently represented by Steve Meredith. What do we know about that guy? What prompted you to throw your hat in?
That's Bevan's buddy. So he's not for public schools, as we know. And then he's also pretty much against the LGBTQ community, I believe. And then, he also signed the ban to ban abortion. And he's also been on this anti-DEI kick lately. So he's following the footsteps of, states like Florida and, things like that, just treading that new extreme Republican line.
That is, yeah, sounds like somebody that shouldn't be in office. So what's your background? Why are you better? What are,
well, I don't know if I should say anything's better than that, but we got to do better than that. Nobody else was going to run against him that I knew of. I've been trying to be involved since 2022 with different county parties and things like that, and I asked several people about if they're planning on running against him this year, and I didn't see anybody doing it. So I told my husband, I said, if the first week of January rolls around and nobody else has filed for for office to run, then I'm going to do it. So I collected $200 and filled out the paperwork, and drove to Frankfort that week and turned in my paperwork. I was born and raised in Southern Indiana. To a single mom who didn't have to work 2 jobs. She had a strong union job. So I appreciate union labor and am endorsed by AFL-CIO and also UAW, and 502 UA 502 up here in Meade County just endorsed me as well. So I appreciate that. And I'm a graduate of public schools. I appreciate public schools. I would encourage everybody to vote no on Amendment 2, which you'll see on your ballot in November. I went on to get a PhD in food science. My background is all like biology, science, aquaculture, food science, meat science, all of that. So, I appreciate data. I appreciate, research, paperwork. If you bring me data and that kind of thing, then, that's what I want to make decisions based on. And not just, religious beliefs and things like that. So I'm a strong advocate for public schools, and again, encourage everybody to vote no on Amendment 2.
Awesome. That's great.
Yeah.
And then one thing I want to tell everyone is that, so Jamie, contacted us, or we found each other through the interwebs.
That was a complete accident, I think, because somehow I was invited to like this group chat on Messenger, and I'm like, hey, is anybody from Ohio County? And and apparently, I guess you were trying to target people in Lexington, but I'm so glad that we found each other. I'm really happy to be a part of this.
Yeah, I was trying to find folks in Lexington to help out with our event we're doing tomorrow. And you're like, hey, how about this area? I'm like, I don't even know where Ohio County
Well,
is.
I actually, so when my grad school days, I was at UK. So my husband and I lived in Frankfort for about 8 years. So,
Gotcha.
I do have some experience with Lexington and appreciate the diversity, and just I miss it definitely.
Yeah. Then I realized who I was talking to. I'm like, oh, you're running for office. Like, well, here's our candidate survey. You should fill this out. And I'm going to break the news right here, right now. The first official endorsement that we're sharing on Progress Kentucky is Progress Kentucky has endorsed Jamie's campaign. So she answered all the questions right. So that, and $2 still won't get you a cup of coffee at Starbucks, but you feel free to put that wherever you want on your campaign literature.
Thank you so much.
We're thrilled about your candidacy. And Steve Meredith should not be a senator. We think you should be, because he's horrible on all the issues, for sure. Yeah. Kimberly, any questions or thoughts for Jamie?
I'm just very, very elated that you took the time out to say, hey, just like a once well-regarded president would say, ask not what you can do. Ask not what your country can do for you.
Ask what you can do for your country.
What you can do for your country. So somebody, it's like somebody's got to do it. Why not you?
Absolutely.
And with the way things are going, I think you have a heck of a chance. I really, really do. I'll be sending all the positive light and prayers to you, because we need more Democrats in the state Senate as well. It's imperative.
You got it.
Senate, the House, everywhere, for sure. Andy needs some help. And right now he's not getting a lot of it. So that's awesome. And, we are firmly opposed to Amendment 2 as well. Firmly for, against SB 150. SP? HP? I was getting confused.
And that's what's really got me started in the political arena, as back in 2022, when the other amendment to the abortion ban amendment for our Constitution. So I got out and campaigned for Charles Booker. I really wanted Charles Booker to win, so I campaigned all of Ohio County for Charles Booker, and then also with vote no signs for that amendment to the abortion amendment too. So
yeah, and we beat that one.
What's that?
We beat that one. We can beat this one.
I hope so. Yes, I think we will. And that's what I tell people whenever I'm knocking doors. I say, I appreciate your consideration of me, but regardless of whether you're going to vote for me or not, please look up Amendment 2. And I would encourage you to vote no on Amendment 2, because, especially in District 5, we only have 2 private schools, one in Grayson County and one in Breckinridge County. It would just completely, all it would do was suck money out of this area and take teachers' jobs. It's going to collapse teacher retirement, because the current teachers are who pay in to teacher retirement, of course. So it would not be good for rural counties, especially.
Awesome. Well, we have shared your Act Blue. We'll find your Facebook link as well and throw that into our show notes and our comments.
I appreciate it. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm awesome. There it is. There it is. Get out your phone, scan the QR codes, get involved. Anything specific your campaign needs?
I guess more volunteers to canvass. If anybody in this area wants to canvass with me, definitely reach out, and I'll hook you up with some of these awesome Post-it notes. I canvassed for Bashir last year on the Get Out to Vote trail. The last 5 days, we had these glorious, lovely, I should say Post-it notes, sorry, sticky notes. We had these lovely sticky notes. And so I just kind of copied that and got my own sticky notes, and I'm just putting these on every door. I'm not even going by the vote builder. I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, Independent, whatever. I'm talking to everybody, and putting them
You know,
on every door.
Meredith's not out there knocking doors.
No,
he
he's
wrote his
not.
one letter, like, here's why I want to be there again.
Yeah.
It's my
Well, he's
birthright.
got that big money too. He's got that big Republican money background, so he can afford the mailers, and I can't do that. So
Grassroots all the way. Awesome.
yes.
Jamie, thank you so much for taking time out of your campaign to come and join us here. Good luck on the campaign trail. Good luck knocking doors. I hope somebody reaches out to your campaign and helps out, puts out. Who doesn't want to put out some sticky notes? So much fun.
Yeah. It's not even talking to people. It's just putting a note on a door. Tagging it and
Awesome.
run.
All right. Be safe out there and good luck.
Thank you.
Awesome. That was candidate Jamie Skudlarek, who has been endorsed by lots of awesome people, one of whom is going to come up next. But Progress Kentucky has proudly endorsed her in Senate District 5. Get rid of Steve Meredith. That guy is bad news. That guy's not working with Andy. He's working against Andy. Why would you want him? You don't want him. You want Jamie. She's going to be useful. And she's knocking doors. We love knocking doors. All right. Kimberly, should we get on to our next guest?
Yes. Love our next guest as well.
Next guest is like getting close to winning the award for most, I think, appearances. I say that with to almost everyone who comes back 3 times because I can only really remember 3 times. That's all my Swiss cheese memory can hold on to. But I know this is at least Cathy's 3rd time on the show. Cathy Hobart Spicer, how are you doing? So glad to have you. I'm sorry the reasoning. It's actually never a good sign when Cathy's back on the show. I think generally for our society because of course Cathy is the state lead for Kentucky Moms Demand Action or Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America, longest name in all of nonprofit history. But yes, welcome. How are you?
Well, I'm doing great, and I appreciate being on. And I believe it is my 3rd time on. So I don't know if you give a coat to people for their 3rd time, like they do on Saturday Night Live for the 5-Timers Club. But anyway, I'm happy to be here. And it is unfortunate that you asked me to be on this week because everyone knows there was a tragic shooting, really, really scary in Kentucky last week. Or so. I can't remember exactly how long ago it's been, but you're just driving down I-75 and all of a sudden somebody's taking shots at you with an AR-15 and they still have not found the shooter. So it's caused disruption for the whole area. I can't even imagine how much money we've spent trying to find this guy. And yet our legislature will not do anything to try to prevent someone like him who was known to be dangerous to not be able to buy a gun and 1,000 rounds of ammunition in the morning and then go and use it to take shots at people driving down the freeway a few hours later. It's just totally unconscionable that we are putting up with this in this state and in this country.
And we just keep putting up with it, right? And we just do. It's like we're like, oh well, I guess that's just the price of being an American. Is this thing that never happens in other countries or rarely happens in other countries?
Right. It's the price of freedom, and like you're not free if you're afraid to go anywhere or do anything because somebody might start shooting at you. That's not freedom. And we know that most of the rest of the civilized world does not put up with this kind of stuff. You don't have to worry about being shot in Germany or in France or in Singapore or, you just don't have to worry about these kinds of things going on in other places in the world. And so it's time to act. So what we're working on right now is the same thing that everybody else is working on, is trying to get our candidates elected. And we don't call Jamie, that was just on, she's got the Gun Sense Candidate Distinction. Moms Demand Action doesn't actually give endorsements. We give something called a distinction, but it basically means the same thing. So anyway, but an endorsement is something that every town, which is it's confusing, but it's called the Gun Sense Candidate Distinction, and she is a Gun Sense Candidate Distinction, and we would love to see her replace Senator Meredith. He is a bane in our side. I spend a lot of time in Frankfort. I've gotten to know quite a lot of the senators and representatives, especially the senators, over the last few years. And yeah, he's one that we would like to replace with someone that has some common sense. And Jamie is one of those kind of people with common sense. Yeah, if you want to find out more about the gun sense candidates that are on your ballot, we have a handy tool called gunsensevoter.org. And if you go to gunsensevoter.org, you can find out about who that is on your ballot that is dedicated to, when they get into office, leading with gun sense in mind. And we have some really exciting candidates in the Lexington area, which I think Progress Kentucky is probably draws from Lexington more, but we have Adam Moore in House District 45 and Sherilyn Stevenson in House District 88. And those two are both in very important races. And so we're really backing those two candidates and hoping that that we can get some people out to canvass for them and to work for their campaigns. The way they've gerrymandered our state, a lot of our candidates don't actually even have elections because there's so many either Republicans or Democrats in their district that the other party doesn't even bother to run. So we have people like Chad All and Lindsey Burke that are also gun sense candidates, but they don't have elections.
Right.
They just get to keep their job.
Really went out on a limb on that one, didn't you, Cathy? Yeah.
But we still try to get these people. We also have one of our other candidates is Keturah Herron. She's running for Senate in Louisville, and she has just gotten involved with a new organization called Legislators for Gun Sense, something to that effect. I just read about it this afternoon, but she's one of the founding members of this. It's a national organization of leaders in the gun sense, leaders in legislatures that are in favor of gun sense. And so I think that I was just so impressed to find out that Keturah was getting involved in this organization. It's a brand new organization. It's partnering with Moms Demand Action, Every Town, March for Our Lives, Giffords, Brady, Sandy Hook Promise, all the big major gun violence prevention organizations are partnering with this new organization, and Keturah is one of the founding people of this organization. So I think that's
awesome. Yeah, and so you got these candidates of distinction. Hopefully, you said there's like 70 of them. Is that right?
Yeah, I was going to look it up exactly, but it's over. Currently, it's over 75. Yeah, that we have, and I know that we have a few more that have just sent in their applications and are still waiting to get their notifications. So I'm sort of thinking we're going to top out at 80, probably at least by the end. And people all the way from, we have president and vice president are at the top of the ticket. They're our gun sense candidates.
That's Vance and Trump, I'm assuming.
Pardon?
Vance and Trump, I'm sure, got that distinction.
Yeah, no, that would be Harrison Walls. Yes, got that distinction. And then we also have Morgan McGarvey and actually several of the other candidates that are running, Aaron Marshall, Randy, what's Randy's last name? Craven, yes. They've also are gun sense candidates. So we have opportunities to vote for people at the federal level. And then all the way down to, I don't know if anybody knows who Serenity Johnson is, but she's running for city council in Radcliffe, and she's one of our gun sense candidates too. So we've got people in Paducah, people in, I think, Breathitt County, probably. Like, they're all over the place. So
that's cool.
There is a concern about getting gun violence prevention on the radar of our legislature, and it's coming from all over the state at all levels. As you probably know, we don't have good gun laws here. Kentucky is ranked 40th out of the 50 states in the strength of our gun laws. And really the only gun law that we still have in place that actually does us any good is that we continue to prohibit guns on campus. So you cannot carry a gun onto the campus of any schools in Kentucky, from preschools through the university level. So that's the one that we hold on to. And it's the one that every year somebody, I'm not going to say who the evil woman is, but anyway, files a bill to try to overturn that and to repeal that law that so that people can start carrying guns on campus. We also, we had a permit to carry several years ago, but they repealed that one. So we don't have that law in place anymore. We don't have a required background check on all gun sales in this state. If you are going through a federally licensed gun seller, you have to do a background check. But if you buy the gun from the flea market, you don't have to have a background check. And we know that a lot of crime guns are bought online and in back under the table kinds of situations. And so, yeah, unlicensed dealers.
I feel like there's a lot of, energy last session around not a red flag law, because that, if you call it a red flag law, that sets off all the red flags. But something that was a little bit different, but was a little similar, right? So this was something that I think Morgan McGarvey had done when he was in Frankfort, and then he had a Republican co-sponsor who was still around. Is it Whitney Westerfeld who
yeah, well, the history of the law is really that it started, Morgan was the first one, and I believe that he got Paul Hornback, who was my senator in Shelby County, to co-sponsor it. And that's when it really first started to take off, was when Paul Hornback sponsored it. And then when Paul retired, left the Senate, it sort of went dormant for a session, and then Whitney Westerfield is the one that picked it up. And he's been the champion the last two sessions of this bill. It's called the Crisis Aversion Rights Retention Bill. And he is really, really focused on getting the language written so that it will pass the muster of the Second Amendment, because this is always the complaint that we get with these kinds of laws, is that you're trying to remove guns, take away somebody's Second Amendment rights when they haven't yet committed a crime. And but there are ways to remove guns from dangerous people that have passed even our most recent incarnation of the Supreme Court. Last term, there was a case called Rahimi, in which a guy that was a domestic violence perpetrator had been terrorizing his wife, and they were trying to remove his guns, and somebody said, well, but he never actually killed her. So, he really should be able to keep his guns because he didn't do the crime, And the Supreme Court said, no, that's too extreme. We cannot let somebody that we know is hell-bent on killing their wife to keep the gun until she's dead. So that was the Rahimi case. And it really bodes well for us to be able to move CAR forward, the Crisis Aversion Rights Retention Bill, because it's the same kind of thing. With this bill, what we would be trying to do is, when we can identify a person that we know is dangerous for whatever reason, they're in a mental crisis, they're just angry, they're going through something, and they're threatening to do harm with their guns, that we can get a court order and we can get those guns removed before they actually commit the crime. And we think would be a very effective bill if that would become law, in protecting people. In other states, laws like these are shown to be very effective in cases of suicide, when the family knows that, grandpa's suicidal and he keeps his service revolver in his bedside table, that they can have a way to get the gun away from him before he actually commits suicide or dies by suicide. Yeah.
Well, the Georgia school shooting, the I-75 shooting, these are people that had very clear like warning signs. They were like known to have had some issues, right? So the Georgia high school, or not high school, but the Georgia school shooting was like they knew that this kid was dangerous. And so it seems like those types of people, could we could benefit from this type of a law.
And a lot of times you'll hear in the news that the FBI failed us because they knew that this person was dangerous and yet they didn't get the guns away. But the problem is that if the law is not in place, they cannot legally take the guns. You can't just go and steal people's things. And as long as the state is saying that when you take guns away from a dangerous person, that you're basically stealing their stuff, then the hands are tied.
Not just stuff. You're not stealing stuff. You're stealing the most revered item in our society, apparently, right? Like, no,
the thing that is most idolized and revered. Yes.
The golden calf for half of our society, apparently. Kimberly, you've been suspiciously quiet. Is your mute button broken?
Did he just say, Cathy, suspiciously quiet?
He did, actually. Yeah.
I thought, are you frozen?
I would have said thoughtfully quiet.
Because this is so interesting. Like, I was just like, listening and really understanding where we are in today's society when it concerns guns. And when I look at it, it's like a clear-cut direction that needs to happen. And sometimes you don't want to think it, you don't want to obsess about it, but a lot of our legislatures, lawmakers are really, really into money. It used to be party over whatever. It's not even that anymore. It's money over human life. They don't care. They're getting the money. They're getting all these ratings from the NRA and all the. This is what is fueling them, and also stopping the efforts of common sense gun laws. But my question is, and I think I've said something similar to it before, Cathy, when you've been on the show, and I always love it when you're on here, but not the situations that bring you on here, of course. I had to stop looking at the information about the I-75 shooter, because it's just as easily that it can happen right here in Louisville on, 264 or 64, our expressways here. And it's very scary. And the last time we heard of something really like this, it was the DC sniper. You all remember the DC sniper?
I do.
Okay. And everybody was scared to death, But another part of that really concerns me as well, I do not see our lawmakers taking into account, especially children in more urban areas, I should say, getting hold of these guns, and they're killing each other. The gangs are taking over, and believe me, I know they know where these guns are coming from. I saw a movie, and I was told by an FBI agent that I know that's really how they do it. In this movie, I saw where they had like a duffel bag full of guns and ARs and everything, and they just leave it on the sidewalk for whomever to come get it. And I was like, what, in this movie? But come to find out, things like that really happen. And the murder rate here in Louisville is astronomical when it comes to these guns that these kids are getting. And in Louisville, most cities, big cities, maybe 10 to 15% of the crime is committed by gang members. But right here in Louisville, 30% of all crimes in this city are committed by gangs. That is an astronomical number. And it seems like there's no relief in sight. And these kids, they're 14 years old, killing each other, 12 years old, shooting people. How are they getting these guns all the time? And what do we need to do to stop the guns.
Yeah, and that's been a big emphasis of the Biden administration when they passed the Safer Communities Act a couple of years ago, was trying to crack down on gun runners that are running guns into these urban areas. And it works best if you have a state legislature that will cooperate with your administration. Our state legislature refuses to cooperate with so they're not taking advantage of the resources that are available to our state that could be used to help curb this kind of violence. But we at Moms Demand Action are, that's one of our major concerns, is trying to stop the violence in that kind of violence in the cities among the children that can get their hands on guns so easily. And we need more violence interrupters, more, just more people on the ground that are working with these kids, and more ways to address their issues of, whatever those issues are that are making them think that it's safer or better for them to carry a gun around than it is to do something else with their lives, So it's very complicated and very complex, but it is something that we at Moms Demand Action are very concerned about. And again, one of the solutions to the problem is getting people in positions of power who will help us help ourselves, as opposed to working against us.
Yeah.
Because
you've got 75 folks you're not endorsing, but they are candidates of distinction, and hopefully that would encourage folks to consider their candidacy that more closely. I think that's awesome. I hope they all get elected. I hope we have just a wave election where we've got sensible folks in Frankfort. I am not going to hold my breath about that. Although I will say this.
Hello.
Yeah. What?
I had something else to say to Cathy.
Did you? Okay.
Yes, I really did.
Okay. Well,
because you hogged up all the time.
Do you know what it is? Do you want to get it out now, or do you just want to stop me from talking? What is the thing?
No, I don't want to just stop you from talking. I want to tell Cathy. Did you know that's my little brother?
Aaron is your little brother? Oh.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I know it's hard for me to admit and tell people. Oh, God, but he is. No, I love him to death. But did I tell you, Cathy, that Kamala is my sorority sister?
Oh, no,
yes.
You didn't. That is so exciting.
Isn't that exciting? Yes. It's pink and green, AKA all day.
Yeah.
But the other thing I want to say is that I just really appreciate what you're doing. It takes a lot of dedication, and it also takes a special kind of person because of all of the death, should I say, and to deal with these lawmakers. Because, see, I'll probably cuss them out. I'm just saying, I'll probably be like, I cuss them out. So it is better for someone like you rather than someone like me. And you all have made a lot of strides, and you all have completed a lot of things. So I just want to tell you, thank you for continuing this fight. It's a very, very hard fight, I know. And I'm also happy, and I don't know if you know this or not, but we've gotten a new police chief in Louisville, Kentucky.
Yes, I did see. And will this one work? Will he be a good one?
He's from Louisville.
Yeah. Okay. So he's
been on the force here for like 19 years.
So he understands.
And you remember when we had the interim police chief during the pandemic, Yvette Gentry?
Mm-hmm.
And she already said, I don't want the position permanently. She took a leave of absence from the United Way and was our police chief for a few months until we got another one, which was that Erica Shields from Atlanta. They are brother and sister. Our new chief, that's his sister.
Oh,
so law enforcement is in their blood, and we needed someone that was from this community, that knows this community. And he grew up in the West End of Louisville, so he understands. So we're really, really happy about that. We are.
Oh, good. Well, that's exciting. That's very, very exciting.
So you might want to meet with him when you get an opportunity.
Yeah. And I'll definitely get our Louisville people to make sure that they do get a meeting with him. Yeah, because we've been trying to work with the police departments, and we've not had a lot of success with the Louisville Police Department reaching out or reaching back. We get real good. We have real good rapport with the mayor's office, and with what he does as a survivor himself. He's very concerned about gun violence prevention, but the police force has been more standoffish. So I hope that this will be a good thing.
You will, because when he's doing interviews and things like that, he is begging for help. He wants outside help to help him, to help all of us.
Yeah,
he's a leader that understands that he doesn't have all the answers and that he does need help in this tragic situation that we have in Louisville. These kids can't even be kids like I was a kid. I went to the park the other day to a jazz in the park, and I did not feel scared because it was an older crowd. I didn't feel like I wasn't going to make it home. But a lot of times when I go to other places or certain places in the city, I'm up there praying because you don't know if you're going to make it home.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Kimberly, thank you for giving us that news, the breaking news about the new Louisville chief of police. Cathy, again, I do hope there's a wave election, a gun sense wave sweeps over our Commonwealth. Whitney Westerfield, is he done?
Yes, he's retired as well. So
did he hand off the car crown? Is there somebody who's going to help bring that legislation forward, do you think?
We've heard rumors that there's going to be somebody that's going to bring it forward, but we haven't been told the name yet. So we're not really in a position to talk about it. Yeah,
they don't want them to get out before the election, probably, I'm sure. Like these gerrymandered districts, it's awfully hard to stick your neck out and be, show some courage.
Yeah, and the senator who has carried it for the Democrats since Morgan has left is David Yates, and he's very strong, and I believe he'll continue to champion gun sense as well as reproductive rights and a whole lot of other things. He's got to get reelected though too. He's got to. So yeah, we're hoping that he gets reelected.
48 days to go. We will see what happens. Cathy, thank you so much for what you're doing. As Kimberly noted, it's not easy. We all know that. It's largely thankless. So thank you. And don't give it up until you train your replacement, because you guys do critically important work, and without your voice.
Yeah, if somebody wants to volunteer to be my replacement, I'm interviewing every day for that.
You heard it here first, folks. The opportunity is there. Just find Cathy. She's responsive on Facebook, even to last minute requests to join the broadcast. So thanks for all you do. Keep it up, and I'm sure we'll see you soon.
Okay. Can I have those earrings, Cathy? Can you give me some?
Oh, well, I don't have, the person that made these for us is not available to make them anymore. So we've just got to preserve them the best we can. Yeah, but I think you can just make these on like a Cricut machine or something. I just don't.
Girl, I am not the DIY girl. I want it already done.
Somebody that is a DIY person could probably copy these very easily.
Were they buttons to start with, and they became earrings, or no? Like they've been made.
No, they were earrings right from the beginning.
Right from the beginning, they were earrings. All right, so nice work. Thank you for showing off the bling, and we will see you very soon. All right, so. Okay. We need to move on. We've got the show is running late. That always happens. We have two guests, and what we want to do is close out with. We want to do a call to action because we have a very important call to action. Tomorrow, we are gathering in Lexington-ish, Nicholasville, Brannon Crossing, Shamrocks at Brannon Crossing. Come and join us. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's our election campaign kickoff event. We're going to have some wonderful speakers. We're going to have folks from the Kentucky Student Voice team talking about what Amendment 2 could do to their schools. We're going to have Randy Cravens talking about why he's taking on Andy Big Banks Bar. We're gonna have Chad All, Representative Chad All. If you're familiar with him, you should be. He's great. He's a great leader in the Democratic caucus, and he'll be talking about all the important races in the Lexington area. I think there'll be at least another candidate or so in the mix you could meet. But yeah, it's gonna be fun. There's gonna be some wings. Get there early for wings. It starts at 6 and it goes till 8. NATO is going to play some music. We don't know what his playlist is. He's been a little bit, quiet about that. But hopefully we'll have it's Andy for Kentucky. I don't know. Maybe Mitch Please and maybe a few other great songs from NATO. Kimberly, going to see you there? I didn't see you reply to the RSVP on the Facebook event. What are you doing? You going to make the trek?
Well, I can't drive. I got to get somebody to drive me. I have to get my driver to drive.
Get your driver?
Yes, my driver.
I'll be coming from Louisville tomorrow. I'm going to Bourbon and Beyond, and then I'm coming directly to the event. So
you're going to be all right? You're going to Bourbon and Beyond.
I'm just there for the Beyond. I'm not there for the Bourbon. I'm there for the music. It's a weird name for a music festival. I'll be honest.
It is, but it's very, very good. It's very, very good.
Yeah.
Tonight, since I was suspiciously quiet, I was suspiciously quiet and thoughtful. I'm just going to say this. Our next state senator that we have endorsed tonight, Jamie, am I pronouncing it correctly, Aaron? Skudlarek?
She was pretty forgiving. So kind of however you want to say that, I think she's okay with it. But yeah, so Skudlarek, maybe?
Skudlarek. Okay, that could go as well. But we know it's Jamie, and we know that she's the one for the job. Great interview there, Aaron. You did absolutely wonderful with the questions that you asked. And it's always a delight to have Cathy Hobart Spicer here on the show to give us the real deal. So I really appreciate her as well. But let me do the disclaimer first. So Progress Kentucky is a nonprofit organization registered with the Kentucky Secretary of State and organized as a 501c4. We are affiliated with the Indivisible Project, the Commonwealth Alliance Voter Engagement, I was going to say education, otherwise known as CAVE, and we are also proud members of the Forward Kentucky Network. Progress Kentucky's goal is always to educate, organize, increase voter turnout, and advance a progressive agenda through civic engagement. Next week's show, we are so very excited. We'll be speaking with two great candidates. Aaron Marshall will be returning, and Marshall is running a grassroots campaign against the shame of Kentucky's Jamie Coomer, and we'll meet Kiana Fields. Did I say that right, Aaron?
I think so.
Kiana Fields, who's running for,
Yeah, Kiana Fields.
Okay. Who is running for Kentucky's 17th Senate District, which had been Damon Thayer's district for quite some time. So we're excited to hear about her efforts to flip that seat. And production of this episode 178 was by our own Parker Williams, and we really, really appreciate him. Nice job, Parker. And Nate Orshan, our very own NATO, and I like to affectionately call Nate Dog, wrote and performed our theme song. You can find more information about his music at natosongs.com and come to the soiree tomorrow in Nicholasville. We want to see you there. Also, if you miss our weekly live stream, you can always see us on Facebook or YouTube later on. Our audio podcasts and our show notes are always available on Apple, Google, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcast. And if you do listen to us, hey, leave us a 5-star review and share. Please share, because this is important information for everyone. And the logo and some graphic content was provided by Couchfire Media. We really appreciate you joining us this evening, and we'll see you right back here, same time, same back channel next week.
All right. Woo!